What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Pizza Buffet live here on Forward Progress, part of the Hammer Betting Network, proudly presented by Fanduel. I'm Rob Pizzola. I'm in my new setup, getting used to it today. Bear with me, change my monitor setup. Don't really know where everything is in real time here, but hopefully all is good over the course of the show. Today, per usual, I'll break down every NFL game, rotation number, order, top to bottom for each matchup. I'm going to share how I currently price the side and the total. I'll give you some insight into my thought process as we head into the games here today. Before we dive in, quick reminder, you know this by now, this is the worst time to be betting the NFL. You've had all week to find your edges. I've had a million people reach out to me this morning. By now, you are betting into a very efficient market. Truth be told, my numbers are probably not beating the market at this stage. If they were, probably wouldn't be doing this show. Years of results back that up. So just be cognizant of that. Obviously, I do like to talk through the games. You guys can get details on how I'm thinking in particular. But whether you bet the numbers or not, that's entirely on you. That said, if you're here for props, I'll share some that I like throughout the show. It was a very hectic week for me. I've been moving without internet connection. Haven't been able to bet as much as I normally would. There's a few props I like today, but probably not going to have like 8, 9, 10 like we usually do on the show today. If I do mention a prop, I like it across the market. Any number, obviously, find the best number. I'm going to try to give out ones where FanDuel does have the best number. If you catch breaking news in real time, drop it in the chat. I will see it. My focus is going to be on the game previews here, but your updates are always appreciated. Good morning to everyone out there. Focused on the window. Oof. There's some goodies behind that door. I had to close it down a little bit today. It's actually a little trap door. One of the nice features of this new house is it's got some quirks, which I quite enjoy. Appreciate everyone who's in the chat here this morning. Is Jason back? He is back behind the scenes. He'll be joining me here tonight as well here on Forward Progress. I'll get to that a little bit later on. Before we get started, don't forget, smash that like button down below. Please do that. Take 2 seconds and do that. Shows YouTube that you're enjoying the content, spreads it out to other people. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subbed here on Forward Progress. And of course, if you can, share this video out on your social platforms. Twitter /X, Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't care where you put it out. Just share it out so that other people can stumble upon it and find it. It helps grow the channel. It ensures that the stuff that we're producing here at the Hammer Betting Network is not going to waste. All right. Let's get into it. Love this comment by Brent before the show, by the way. Love that. So good. All right. Share the link to MySpace. All right. We're off to a good start today. Commanders and Saints is going to open it up here. Taking a look at the odds screen right now, Washington -7.5 left to right. FanDuel has a 43.5 in market right now. Other books seem to be at 44 for this game. No notes on the graphics today for the games. Again, was moving this week, but I'll talk through the games themselves. This one's interesting. Had a Washington offense that was going to be healthy going into today's game. We have to keep our eye on the status of their center, Tyler Biadasz, leading up to the game. Ex-Dallas Cowboy dealing with an illness, might not play today. Kind of important key cog on the offensive line there. Regardless, though, I do think that the Saints defense is highly susceptible to the run. They've been brutal against opposing running games this year. This is kind of Washington's bread and butter coming off the bye. Brian Robinson, Jaden Daniels, they do a very good job of running the ball. I do think that there's a good opportunity for success for the Washington offense in this game, and the red zone efficiency has peaked or spiked, I should say, back to what it was earlier in the year in recent weeks. The other side of things, got Jake Haener starting this game, which, I mean, doesn't bode well. Marshawn Lattimore returns on the Washington defense. We're going to have to see the status of Daron Payne. That can hurt Washington up front because Jonathan Allen's already on IR. Daron Payne didn't practice. He had a back injury on Friday. That's kind of the path to success for New Orleans in this game. Establish the run with Alvin Kamara as much as possible. Can it happen? I don't know. Washington's very likely going to play closer to the line of scrimmage. try to force New Orleans to beat them through the air. We've seen this Saints offense without Derek Carr before and with better weapons. When Carr missed time earlier in the year, they had that Chargers game where they had Taysom Hill and Chris Olave playing. In the Bucs game, they had Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. The weapons just aren't there. To me, I could only bet Washington in this game, but now that the 7 is gone, I think you kind of lose the valuable number. From a prop look for this specific game, I do like this sort of angle when you get backup quarterback starting, which is the running back over in the receptions market. So I'm looking at Alvin Kamara over 4.5 receptions. FanDuel has a plus money price. Shop around. You can get up to plus 120, 125 here. I think that's a pretty good bet, especially with the likelihood that the Saints are trailing in this game. And again, younger quarterback looks for the more viable option. Action Sports Central said 7 minus 125 offshore. Just again, when you are looking for the 7s relative to the 7.5, just because there's a 7 doesn't mean it's actually a better price than the 7.5. Now, in this instance, it probably is, but you can find minus 7.5 plus 101 in market right now, which would be better than the 7 minus 125. So just be careful about that going into today's game. All right, moving along here. We're going to have the Dolphins and the Texans. Interesting back and forth in this market. Never quite got to a full 3 in the game. I'm kind of hanging around where we are at in market right now, which is Houston, a heavily juiced 2.5 to minus 120 total in the game, 46.5 under or 46 juiced over. I talked about this on Wednesday Best Bets, and I talked about it on some other programs as well. I think this week, You Bet or You Bet, some other shows. The status of Teron Armstead was pretty important for me for this particular game. He's doubtful, not going to play. Patrick Paul's going to take that spot. The right tackle, Kendall Lamb, comes in with a pre-existing injury as well, but is going to play today, which is kind of one that I was looking out for. Now, Tua gets the ball out of his hands very quickly, 2.3 seconds. That's very fast relative to the rest of the league. The loss of Armstead doesn't completely kill the offense, but it does hurt a running game that is struggling to run the ball. And if the plays break down and Houston does play closer to the line of scrimmage, take away those quick screen passes, it's going to hurt the passing game as well. There are opportunities for the Dolphins to attack. Jalen Petrie is on IR for the Texans. Kader Hallman is on IR. Those are 2 corners. They still have their top 2 corners there in terms of Stingley and Lassiter, but the depth is hurting. And the whole Miami offense is get playmakers in space. Azeez Al-Shaair still suspended as well, of note, and force those guys to break some tackles. Texans haven't been a good tackling team this year. I think that there is a chance for success in the Miami passing game. Where I struggle with this game is how to price Houston's offense. Their left guard, Drew Scruggs, is out. This is a healthy Dolphins defense. Dolphins defense can't really get pressure right now. They struggled against Aaron Rodgers last week, but is Houston going to force themselves into these consistent 3rd and long situations like they have all year? I don't see why the bye would have just corrected that for the team. I like the bye week for a lot of teams when they're coming in really banged up and injured and they get everyone returning to full health. Houston was not like a super banged up team. I think a lot of their issues stem from scheme and play calling so far this year. So tough game for me. Seen a lot of back and forth in market. I deal with a lot of people who are opposing each other on this game. Some like Miami, some like Houston. I'm kind of right in the middle at this point. From a prop perspective, Devon Achane, I like him under on receiving yards in this game. And this is purely a price play. He's 34.5 in market right now. If you look at last week to this week, we've seen his yardage numbers increase week over week. He was priced in the low 30s last week. You have Raheem Mostert back in the mix as well, who's probably going to get a little bit more run going forwards. I don't love it. I like it, but I think the price is a little bit too high in this game. There we go. Next game. And I want to keep these moving as fast as possible today. Sam, good comment here. Bobby Slowick did some soul searching. Maybe. We'll see. I think we learned a lot about the Texans today, honestly, and see if anything's going to change. I do agree with Cottage that it is a tough handicap. Jets and Jags. I'm going to go through some weather situations for today for a lot of these games. First two games, we didn't have anything to talk about from a weather point of view. This one, depending on where you're looking at in market, you either got a heavily juiced Jets -3 or a -3.5. Total sitting at 40.5, juiced over or 41. I'm pretty much on market in this game. I don't have much going on, so I'm not going to talk about this a ton. There's going to be some wind in this game. Not too bad. 10 to 15 miles an hour, according to Kevin Roth, which is like under the impactful wind limits. Something to keep an eye on. Jets offense, don't know what to make of them. Breece Hall expected to play. They had injuries on the offensive line, but Elijah Vera Tucker, Morgan Moses are probably going to play. It looks like healthy offense against healthy defense in all likelihood here. Jets offense finally showed something last week against Miami. The opportunity is there to do it again. Can they? I don't know. The inconsistency has really killed the Jets offense so far this year. Other side, you have some injuries on the Jets defensive side. DJ Reed is out. Brandon Echols is out. That means Quantez Stiggers is going to start. But you also have an injury on the Jacksonville offense that I think is pretty big in Evan Ingram being out. Brenton Strange, Luke Farrell will hold down the fort in his absence, but Jacksonville just doesn't have the playmakers. And honestly, when we break down Mac Jones's performance this year, all the damage has come in garbage time for the most part. Outside of that, when you're looking at pulling out the non-garbage time data, he's been really, really awful. Tough game, no strong opinion. For pools, probably Jets or nothing. Really depends on the number, whether you're getting a 3 or a 3.5 in that one. Kate Stover out for Houston. Appreciate that. It's not going to change much of the handicap for me and move the number much at all. All right. Action Sports Central says Titans just popped to +6. That's where we're going next to our next game. Cincinnati and Tennessee. There are some 6s, as Action Sports Central said. FanDuel still holding a 5.5. Total in the game is 46.5. From a weather perspective here, on and off showers, according to Kevin Roth again. Nothing that he's expecting to be too significant in this game. He has a color pattern. Green would be the game is fine. Yellow, getting worse. Orange, getting worse. Red, terrible. This is like a green/yellow game for him. Of note, with the Cincinnati offense, is left tackle Orlando Brown is out. Yesterday, on the injury report, they made Cody Ford questionable with an illness. I would like to see if Cody Ford is playing today, because he would be filling in for Orlando Brown at left tackle. You might have potentially big injuries on the Cincy O-line here. Are the Titans the D that's going to fully exploit that? Probably not. We've seen them really struggle when they step up in class this season against better offenses. But we've also seen this Bengals offensive line with injuries, and this is years past with Joe Burrow as well, really struggle in these types of situations. Tough one without knowing the status of Cody Ford as of now. On the Tennessee side, Tony Pollard expected to play. Hitman had a release on some Pollard unders right before I came to air today. Likely going to see a lot of Tyjae Spears, maybe even some Julius Chestnut in this game. Sheldon Rankin still out on the Cincy defensive line, and they've been susceptible to the run with him out as well. This is a challenging one for me. Full disclosure, I never bet against my numbers, but sometimes I will avoid certain teams. I've had a numerical edge towards Tennessee all week. Didn't bet it at 5.5. Now that the 6s have showed in market, it's a little bit more tempting. However, I'm kind of more willing to trust the market than I am myself on this particular game. I'm not seeing the need to personally force anything. So likely laying off unless we get the Cody Ford situation. He's out. I think I got to take a 6 with Tennessee at this point. I do like T. Higgins over receptions in the prop market here. Down to 5.5 at like -106 at FanDuel. Pretty big week-to-week adjustment. Obviously, Jamar Chase had the huge game against the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. One thing that tends to happen in the NFL, especially when players are coming off a big game like that, the defensive game plan tends to be focused on those particular players going forwards. I think there's been too much of a downgrade here for T. Higgins in this particular spot. I actually kind of like this joke, even though it's super cheesy, Connor. Super cheesy. These Julius Chestnut. Oh, man. That's good. Good stuff here this morning. Okay. Going to get to the rest of the board quickly here. I do want to remind you, make sure you bet the NFL season on Fanduel, America's #1 sportsbook. I'm a big fan of Fanduel myself, and being in the 51st state of America in Canada, I do bet it at Fanduel very regularly. Great product, especially in-game, as you guys see throughout the live watch-alongs we do here on Forward Progress. Lots of fair markets. If you're betting anytime touchdown score market today and you don't have a Fanduel account, I don't even know what you're doing anymore. I don't know what you're doing. Today, there's a same-game parlay profit boost token on any game on the slate. Make sure you use that. You could save it for Sunday Night Football tonight when I'm on air. Completely up to you. FanDuel has tons of ways you can get in on the NFL action. You can bet on money lines, spreads, player props, and more. Plus, with super simple live betting, lightning fast bet settlement, and instant withdrawals, FanDuel makes betting on the NFL easier than ever before. Just visit FanDuel.com/forward progress to download FanDuel today. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms for offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right. Keep it moving along here. Got to take a sip of coffee. Oh, man. The old Sunday morning coffee is a banger. I was out last night at some like holiday lights festival with the wife, my brother and his fiance, family thing. It's fucking cold, man. It's cold. Nice warm coffee right now. Hitting the spot. All right. Ravens, Giants. Looking at the market. FanDuel still holding at 16.5. All the market-making books have moved to 17. Total in the game, 43.5. Temperature in the 30s. Cold, but no winds, no precipitation. Not a big deal here. Baltimore's offense is basically going to name their score in this game. I know that there's been some situations where the Ravens have struggled recently. Deontay Johnson suspended is not going to matter for them. Let's take a look at this Giants defense. They have nobody left. You start in their defensive front seven. Obviously, Dexter Lawrence a few weeks ago on IR. Raheem Nunez-Roches is out again today. Bobby Okereke is out today, whose name has changed more than anyone in NFL history. Used to be Bobby Okereke. There's been a billion different pronunciations of his name over time. Secondary, Cordell Flott not playing. Drew Phillips not playing. Deontay Banks, pre-existing injury. Cluster IR at safety. It's earlier in the year, we had the situation with the Carolina Panthers where their defense just had so many players out. It's not a viable defense. This was already a defense that was trending downhill for several months, and now they've reached rock bottom. Derrick Henry has a great matchup in this game. Lamar Jackson has a great matchup in this game. You look at the Giants, pass rush is gone. They had the most sacks through the first 9 weeks of the season with 35. Last 5 weeks of the season, they've only tallied 3 total sacks. Baltimore moves the ball at will. Just becomes a matter of, can the Giants do something to stay within the number? And Tommy DeVito's terrible. He's an awful quarterback. I know Drew Lock was bad. You've seen the market react to the DeVito news. Market thinks DeVito's worse. I think DeVito's worse. At least he'll have his left tackle today. Jermaine Illuminor is going to play. but John Runyon is out on the offensive line. They just don't have much of an offense. One thing I will say about the Ravens that's not talked about enough, but early in the year, they were a pure pass funnel defense. Teams knew they couldn't run on them. They would throw on them. Well, if we look at the Ravens, weeks 11 to 14, listen, arbitrary endpoint here, but it's just to illustrate that the pass defense has been working its way up. They have become, in the last 4 weeks, the third best EPA against the pass. I don't think they're quite there. I just don't think they're as bad as early in the season. Tough one. I see some people in the chat really talking about Justice Hill today. Justice Hill plus 900 over 50 yards. Don't hate that look at all. Not a bad one whatsoever. I bet Ravens this week, looking for a win by margin. Now we're kind of getting to the point where it's a little bit out of hand. From a prop look perspective, I think Malik Neighbors' number is too high, slightly in the receiving yardage market. I know this is going to be a game, in all likelihood, where the Giants are trailing a lot, and that's cause for concern. But I basically think highly lowly of this offense that I don't trust anyone in the mid 60s in receiving yards with Tommy DeVito as the quarterback. Okay. Chiefs and Browns. This is the weather game. Woke up this morning, had a message from good friend Cleve TA, who you see here on the Monday show on Forward Progress. TA is Cleveland based. He said the weather's a disaster. I logged on to Roto Grinders, checked Kevin Roth's report. I'm going to read it word for word. Let's start with the part of the forecast that's a lock. Winds will be blowing around 15 miles an hour sustained. Gusts around 30 miles an hour, slightly under that by the end of the game. That won't impact every player throw, but could be an issue on longer passes and kicks. The temperature is 40 degrees, putting the feels like temperature in the low 30s. Now to the less certain part of the forecast, the rain. We will see a steady soaking of rain pregame, but that steady rain should be coming to an end around game time. We'll be left with off and on showers behind that. At times it'll be dry. At times the rain could be coming at a moderate rate. The most likely outcome is on and off showers. I want to make it crystal clear. I cannot rule out a heavier shower at some points, nor can I rule out a game that stays mostly dry with rain forming near but not over the stadium. It's a tough one. He's given it a yellow/orange designation. Doesn't go to orange all too often. Could be a good game to live bet based off of the conditions and seeing how things go. Great comment by Levi. So this is interesting. XS says bad weather, good for Chiefs. So I agree in principle because they're not the team that's going to air it out. Cleveland is more likely to do that. Plus, Kansas City has a better rush offense than Cleveland does. But typically speaking, as the total in a game comes down, it's more conducive to the underdog, right? Less points being scored in total, less ability to separate. It's kind of a balancing act altogether. I do want to start with the Chiefs offense because DJ Humphries is out. He returned at left tackle last week. It's back to Wanya Morris. It's just not good at the tackle position. And in particular in this game, why the weather, and I slightly agree with Ekshesh here, it makes this a factor, is because if it turns into a game where both teams are running the ball a little bit more heavily than they would originally, that takes the Myles Garrett pass rush out of the equation, which could be devastating for this particular game. So I do kind of agree with that comment. And we've seen this total. I mean, yesterday overnight got bombed down at least a couple points. 41's in market right now, 41.5 juiced under. Other side, Cleveland's offense, Cedric Tillman's still out. Not a deep receiving core. Elijah Moore, Michael Woods. I don't know if we got an update on David Njoku yet. Chat, you let me know if you see anything. Got a hamstring injury, hasn't been practicing. It's going to be a really shitty field today. I don't know that Njoku's going to play. And that hurts. Like already just don't have the depth. Njoku out, Tillman out. If that turns out to be the case, one of the things the Chiefs have really struggled to do this year is defend tight ends. Maybe you look at Jordan Akins, but he's not the same player that Njoku is. Tough game overall for me based off of the conditions. I agree with all that early money on Cleveland, but as we stand right now, I think at this point, market has corrected to the information available, and I don't think there's much more to do in this particular instance. All right. To the NFC, my Dallas Cowboys logo right here. They are in Carolina, taking on Eric Eager's Panthers. Pizza Man versus Eager. Steady stream of Carolina money this week. Agreed. -2.5, -118 at Fanduel. Total sitting at 41.5. Some books 42, some 42.5. So Fanduel a lower number than in market right now. Possible rain here. If it does rain, it's going to be light. Could start with the Dallas offense. Cooper Beebe, their center, got hurt on Monday Night Football. Brock Hoffman moved over under center. He was playing guard in the absence of Zach Martin. It's a bit of a mess in the interior of that O-line right now, and it started to show as the game went on against Cincinnati, where they struggled to move the ball. Now, this is a bad Carolina defense, much healthier than it was earlier in the year. It looks like Jadeveon Clowney is going to play. Trevin Wallace is out at inside linebacker. That hurts because Shaq Thompson's on IR. Josie Jewell is dealing with a hamstring injury as well. J.C. Horn expected to play with his groin injury. It's a beat-up defense, but I already didn't think the Cowboys' offensive line was built well. And now you have the interior pretty beat up. Don't love that for them. Probably still have some marginal success moving the ball in this game because Carolina's defense is that bad. But I don't know that we're getting... I mean, they put up 20 points at home against a very bad Bengals defense. I don't know that we're getting a ton out of the Cowboys offense. Other side of things is where I'm pretty excited. Bryce Young's looked a lot better in recent weeks. Jalen Coker is back, which maybe wouldn't matter for a lot of teams in the NFL. It matters for Carolina. The Cowboys lose to Marvin Overshown for about 15 months. Blew out all the ligaments in his knee. You have Nick Vigil, one of their linebackers, didn't practice all week with a foot injury. Eric Kendricks didn't practice all week with a shoulder injury. Trayvon Diggs is out for the season now, goes on IR. Jordan Lewis, their slot corner, is dealing with a hamstring injury, 3 times limited practice this week. It's pretty beat up Cowboys defense on a short week. I do like Carolina's ability to run the ball in this game with Chuba Hubbard. There's a big matchup advantage for Carolina's O-line against Dallas's banged up defensive front. In this particular game, simply put, trust the Panthers a lot more right now. I know that there's been a price adjustment on Carolina, and there are differing opinions in this game. But in my opinion, the adjustment is warranted. I don't think Carolina... I mean, listen, Carolina was a Xavier Legette drop away from beating the Eagles last week. Did they deserve to beat the Eagles even if he caught that ball? No. They didn't play the best game offensively, but this is a team that has pretty rapidly increased, and the market is now starting to reflect that in a big way. I think Bryce Young's passing yardage at 206.5 was the last I saw it right before we went off air. On air, excuse me. I like the over on Bryce Young in that range. He's been slinging it. It didn't happen against the Eagles last week. I think we can give them a pass. Eagles defense has been very good, especially in coverage. I think this is a low number for what we've seen out of Bryce Young in recent weeks. Okay, few things to update here. David Njoku is out. I had Njoku as a 50-50 in my number. If anyone wants to, marginal difference, definitely. You got to downgrade Cleveland a little bit for the Njoku injury. Same with Tyler Biadasz being out for Washington. Same type of deal in the sense that, I mean, the Saints defensive front is pretty terrible, but it's still a decent size injury. Cody Ford inactive as well. Good to know. Good to know. Okay. Lots of stuff coming in all at once, which is usually the case. Battle of Pennsylvania. Eagles and Steelers. Lots of market support for the Eagles this week. However, I will say once the sixes showed yesterday, this got bet back towards the Steelers at 5.5. So this is your resistance point, basically. Market likes the Eagles up to 6, and then you've got your Steelers buyers, which makes a lot of sense. Total in the game, 42.5 heavily juiced to the over, or 43, depending on your spot right now. Let's start with the weather. Steady light rain is possible, mostly in the second half. If it does happen, it's raining right now before the game. We'll see how it plays out over the course of the game. This is a few of these that are happening in market today. Pittsburgh's offense, George Pickens out against a healthy Eagles defense. I do not see a lot of opportunity for success for the Steelers offense without Pickens. Now, someone might say, well, Rob, they scored 27 points last week against the Browns. Well, look at the starting field position in those games. There was a big punt return that the Steelers had that brought them in the Browns territory. There was a missed fourth down that the Browns had on their own side of the field. Browns turned it over on their own side of the field. There was a lot of short fields for the Steelers in that game. They averaged 4.3 yards per play. It's not like they're moving it all that well. Pickens' loss is very big for this offense. Very large. Makes a difference, especially when you're taking on arguably the best defense in the league right now, who has very good cover corners. Other side of things, got to like the matchup for the Philly offense. They're healthy outside of Dallas Goedert being on IR. Steelers being with a few defensive injuries. Larry Ogunjobi is out on the defensive line. Deshaun Elliott is out at safety. The biggest thing for me in this particular matchup is the Eagles will likely be able to run the ball. And it's not because of their O-line and Saquon. It's actually kind of gone unnoticed how bad the Steelers' run defense has been over the course of especially the latter half of the season here so far. It makes a difference. Pressure rate is going to be there from Pittsburgh. They're generating a lot of quick pressure per usual. I just don't know how much Philly's actually going to drop back and pass. They are pretty high in terms of their neutral, game state passing type of situation. Cottage says, analysis and common sense aside, it's hard to go against Tomlin. Believe me, I'm aware. +8 turnover margin last 4 weeks, +17 turnover margin this season. They seem to just consistently have things work in their favor. I get it. Joey likes the Eagles alternates. I mean, if there is going to be a game where the Steelers, in my opinion, get shellacked, this could possibly be the one. Lots of notes about Cody Ford being out. I actually don't even know who's going to end up playing left tackle for the Bengals now. I think maybe, I don't know if they move Amarius Mims over or if Devin Cochran plays. That's going to be a bad O-line today. That's going to be a bad O-line. I'm personally going to grab some Titans sticks right now. I don't love betting game day at all, unless it's a reaction to some injuries. And God, I hate the Titans. But at this point, I feel like that's a valuable number. From one great game to another, wow, late window today, we got some bangers. Bills and Lions. So again, market support showing for the Bills late in the week. This was steady one-way stream towards Detroit, and total sitting at 54.5. Few books down to 54 at this point. But once we almost got out to 3, Buffalo got bet last night. I like the Lions now that we have the full injury information. And it's really surprising, honestly. Anyone who follows my content here on Forward Progress has probably heard me talk about this game several times this week. And I was big on the Packers against the Lions Thursday Night Football because of the Lions' defensive front seven. Even in game, we talked about adding on Green Bay when Ali McNeil got hurt. Now, the Lions' front seven is still dealing with injuries, but they have Ali McNeil in. They have DJ Reader returning. DJ Reader is huge in terms of helping stop the run in this particular matchup. You do get an upgrade for the Bills offense with Keon Coleman returning as well. And believe me, I think Buffalo is going to score in this game. They can move it on anyone, really. It's a great offense, but it'll be a little bit more harder to come by right now. And on the other side of things, you have a healthy offense for the Lions. You have Rasul Douglas, who is out for the Buffalo Bills. Jamarcus Ingram is going to start for him. Not ideal. On the back end, both Damar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp were dealing with significant injuries this week to their back and neck, respectively. Could be a big-time issue. But most importantly, the Bills have a very light front four. They do encourage the run from opposing teams. And we saw it last week. I mean, listen, the Rams torch them in every facet of the game. I don't think the Bills' defense is quite that bad. But I do think that they're going to struggle against this Lions O-line, which can push people around. I just think when accounting for all the injuries, information that's happened over the course of this week, I'm shifted over to the Detroit side here. I am. Hate betting against Josh Allen, believe me. And both these teams are really good. Nothing will surprise me. I think the value currently lies with the Detroit Lions. Indy and Denver is our next game. Winds should be pretty breezy early on. 15 to 20 miles an hour sustained. Gusts over 30 miles an hour. Should drop off by the second half in this game as well. Something to note if you're live betting or watching the game live. Current market is all over the place, really, but mostly Denver fours are out there or 4.5s. Total in the game, 43.5. That did get bet off of the 44 yesterday. Indy's offense, well, start both teams off the bye week, which is interesting. Indy gets Josh Downs back from his shoulder injury. Mo Alley Cox, I don't know. They're not like a huge tight end heavy team anyway, but he's been dealing with the hip injury. They have Kylan Granson, Drew Ogletree there as well. Ryan Kelly is eligible to return from IR. He did not get activated for this game. So Tanner Bortolini will start at center. The right tackle, Braden Smith, is out. Matt Gonsalves, the rookie, has been starting there. He's been doing an okay job, but it's still a downgrade. Now, the last time we saw Denver, Riley Moss was out at corner. And one of their corners, Levi Wallace, was just getting picked on over and over and over by Jameis. And there's this assumption that the Denver defense just like sucks with Riley Moss out. And good quarterbacks that are accurate can probably take advantage of things like this. I'm a little bit more skeptical about Anthony Richardson being able to take advantage of something like this. It's very boomer bust for the Colts passing game. And yes, I think maybe there's some opportunities downfield, but really the Colts want to run the ball, whether it's with Jonathan Taylor or with Richardson. I think that they can have some moderate success here, but not a ton. And I don't think that they're the team that's necessarily going to expose the cornerback injury for the Broncos. Other side of the ball, it's healthy offense, healthy defense. Bo Nix has played really well. I've talked about it this week. I don't want to discredit Bo Nix because you have to make the throws. You have to take advantage of these games that you have against other bad defenses. But if we look at what's been happening with the Broncos lately, well, they had the KC game about a month ago. KC's pure pass funnel defense right now. They had Atlanta missing 3 of their top 4 corners. They had Vegas missing 2 of their top 3 corners. The Browns game was very impressive by Knicks. You got to give them credit against that pass rush, but a lot of self-inflicted wounds from Cleveland as well. Could make an argument that Denver should have lost that game. So it's still up in the air in terms of what the Broncos offense truly is. I'm higher on the Colts defense than I think a lot of people, in the sense that they started the year very poorly with some injuries, especially in the defensive front 7. They still haven't had Juju Brents on the field this year in a while, but they're playing a lot better. They're getting off the field on third down. I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. I really do. I get why people think Indy is very live in this game, and I agree. I believe that they're live in this particular matchup, but I don't trust their offense enough either at this particular number to bet it. Okay. Curious, Jim, about your comment. Green Bay getting rid of Rasul was a great move. Elaborate. Because Jair Alexander's hurt every single week. Feel like they could have really benefited from having Rasul Douglas around there still in some capacity. Do you like Richardson under completions? I know a bunch of people have said that. Personally, no. Part of the reason why is that they're a 4-point underdog in the game. I know a lot of people are high on Indy this week, and they've been bet down from 5.5 early week. But no, I'm not in love with that. Okay. Nothing props wise. I know a lot of people are asking props for this particular game. I don't got much going on here. Tampa Bay and the Chargers. Market settled here. Chargers -3 plus 100, roughly in that range. Total 45.5. There's a bit of a typo on the spread here really quickly. I think could have been my bad in terms of putting it into the spreadsheet at the wrong number. But I have this game below 3 for the Chargers right now. And it's a really, really tough game to handicap because of Justin Herbert. And I know Justin Herbert practiced later in the week. And the team is saying that the swelling in his knee was related to a Charlie horse. He's dealing with a low ankle sprain. Typically, when you have swelling in your knee, listen, I'm not going to pretend I'm not a doctor, not a Twitter doctor or anything like that. But I've been following the NFL for a long time. And one of my biggest, probably the single biggest edge I have is reacting to news when it comes to the NFL and being able to decipher news, read the tea leaves, so to speak. I'm calling maybe BS on Justin Herbert's low ankle sprain and thinking it's potentially a high ankle sprain in some capacity. They played Denver on Thursday this upcoming week. I'm not suggesting this is a throwaway game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's really hard to know with what Justin Herbert's dealing with Will Dissly out, with Ladd McConkey on just a limited practice on Friday, what to make of the Chargers offense. Because ordinarily this would be a very good matchup, right? You have Antoine Winfield out, Mike Edwards is out, Jordan Whitehead's on IR. It's like cluster safety injury. KJ Britt is out in this game. It is theoretically the defense that you should be able to move the ball against. That said, the Bucs have been generating a lot of pressure recently. Early on in the year, they weren't. They lead the league in pass pressure percentage in the last 5 weeks at 47.1%. They can get after Herbert, especially if he's stuck in the pocket with a ankle injury. And you know that Bowles is the type of guy that will send the heat in this particular instance. Other side, Bucky Irving expected to play. Sterling Shepard expected to play. I want to see Denzel Perryman. He was limited on Friday with a groin injury. Could be back. But it is what it is. And we got to watch out for that particular one. Tampa Bay's running game is working for them. Oddly enough, it's kind of shift from the beginning of the year where Baker Mayfield was the stud. Now he's been dealing with some turnover injuries. That could be a problem in this particular game. I think there's a lot of uncertainty with this particular game. I know Judah played Tampa Bay alts as his best bet on Wednesday Best Bets. I could see a numerous amount of outcomes in this particular game. Because Tampa's been playing a lot of soft defenses lately. Bengals, Falcons, Chiefs. I know we don't think of the Chiefs defense as soft, but in the passing game, they certainly have been lately. Tough one, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of upside with Tampa in this particular game. And there's like no home field advantage for the Chargers here as well. Bucky Irving receiving yards over. I would avoid Bucky Irving purely because of pre-existing injury, and it's a back injury where it's actually affecting his play. I like the thinking, the logic with the screen game, but they've been using Rachaad White more since Bucky Irving got hurt. I would more likely agree with Joey's take here. I would more likely agree with Joey's take. Nolan asked, Tamp's Colts teaser looks okay. I don't think so. I think that teaser in the long run is minus EV. Not that it can't win, but at this point, I don't want to talk like a calculator here, but there's a very proven way to mathematically make teasers work in your favor. And anything outside of that, you're going to lose in the long run. So no, I would not advocate for that. If you're not teasing through 3 and 7, then mathematically the teaser just doesn't make any sense. And I just don't play many teasers anyways. Herbert rushing under is a great bet. I would agree. I think that's a really good one. Patriots and Cardinals. Man, lots of back and forth on this game. All the early money on New England early in the week. Don't know if it was a fake or someone really had a position on New England. Late money towards Arizona. We settled here at 6s or 6.5 minus 105. Total in the game, 46 flat, pretty much across the board. I like the over in this game. Talked about this on Wednesday. Market hasn't reacted a whole lot. Not really concerned about any injuries on the Patriots defense. Excuse me while I just take a drink here. I'm going to get to some other comments here in a second as well. But in this particular game, Christian Barmore, Christian Gonzalez, Kyle Duggar, they were listed questionable. Patriots do this all the time. These guys are very likely going to play. The big problem for me in this matchup with New England, Patriots can't stop the run. The past 5 weeks, they've given up 45% success rate on the ground. It's bottom 6 in the NFL. They have faced teams in that span like Chicago and Miami who can't run the ball. This is how the Arizona offense works. They can run. They utilize play action. There's going to be a lot of man coverage here from New England, and Arizona doesn't have the best man beaters, but they do have a tight end that kills man in Trey McBride. James Conner, Trey McBride, they're going to actually have the luxury of a running game, unlike the last 3 weeks where they went Seattle, Minnesota, Seattle. That's big for them. On top of that, this Patriots defense improved play. Well, they've caught all these offensive lines with injuries. Indy, Rams, Chicago. 3 of their last 4 games, significant injuries on the offensive line for the opposing team. That's not the case here. Other side, same thing with the Patriots O-line. Vidarian Lowe, Cole Strange, questionable tags, expected to play. Not really too concerned about that. Patriots offense should also be able to run the ball. Arizona's D is even worse at stopping the run than New England's. 46% success rate over the past month. Ramondre Stevenson has a very good matchup in this game. Ultimately, I like both of these offenses when they are able to run the ball. Less chance of taking negative plays. You have mobile quarterbacks who have less chance of taking negative plays. I like the over in this particular game. Note, market doesn't agree. Just saying, I'm on it, played it, and that's where I'm at right now. Before we get to Sunday Night Football, all right, there's a conversation going on in the chat about the teaser stuff, right? So for those that don't know, when we get off stream here, go look up what a Wong teaser is, W-O-N-G. You got to make sure that the teaser pricing makes sense. Nowadays, it's much harder to play these That's the mathematically correct teaser. Don't tease totals. There is a very rare instance where you might tease a total, but for the most part, I'm just going to not even avoid that for the conversation right now. When you're teasing totals, the value of the points that you're teasing through does not come anywhere close to that of teasing a spread. So if you are going to play these types of bets, you can play them for fun. It's totally fine. If you have expectation of winning in the long run, don't do those things. Again, it all depends on what your motivations are as a bettor. You're watching this show on Sunday morning. My guess is that you probably want to win. You don't want to just be betting to lose. Try to avoid those types of teasers. As Charlie says, don't do a wrong teaser. Love that. I'm probably going to steal that and claim it on my own. Claim it as my own. Any receivers on each side for Pats Cardinals? There's been some talk from New England about getting Jalen Polk really involved down the stretch here. I'm not sure whether I'm willing to believe that or not, but maybe in the anytime touchdown score market, I think he might be a little underpriced if I was looking at something for this game. Again, I'll get to Sunday Night Football in a second. Help me understand the game day money on New Orleans over. Biotish late scratch. So if you haven't seen my interview with Matt Metcalf on the Circles Off YouTube channel, find 2 hours this week to watch it or listen to it. Matt Metcalf is, in my opinion, the greatest bookmaker on the planet right now. And he talks about how the betting market works for a lot of that interview. The groups that are playing now are playing significant amount of money, and they are very widely respected. There's very, very few people that can beat game day NFL. My guess would be that they were just holding out all week on a position on the over here. And because of the amount of money that they want to get down on this particular game. And for a total game day, we're probably looking at $500,000, something like that. So the injury matters, but they're probably just waiting for that. So there are times where it seems like stuff that happens on Sunday is counterintuitive to the injuries. And it's basically because there are groups out there that they just can't bet earlier in the week because they can't fill their bet size. So it's bookmarked. I would highly recommend listening to that. In fact, listen, I know it's my own piece of content, but you wouldn't be doing yourself a disservice to listen to that once every few months or so. All right, Green Bay and Seattle. Sunday Night Football. I'm on air for this game tonight. You guys know the drill on Sunday night. Clive Bixby is going to join me. I'm pretty much on market in this particular game for tonight. I don't see much to do. I will go live before the game, do props like I usually do leading up to the game. We'll find some last minute stuff there for sure. And then anything in-game betting over the course of the game as well. Starting on the green, first of all, weather side, it's Seattle, light rain, but doesn't look like there's going to be wind. So keep that in mind. On the Green Bay side, Romeo Doubs returns. Trey Brown is out for Seattle. The Seattle defense is performing really, really well. Leonard Williams, completely back there. The trade for Dearness Jones has made a big difference for them. Packers offense is still very boom or bust. And they haven't been able to run the ball all that successfully recently, including against a very beat up Detroit Lions defensive line, including against Miami a couple of weeks ago. I do like the Green Bay offense generally, especially over the course of the past month, but there has been a lot of inconsistency there. And I think Jordan Love's going to have a big game here because the Seahawks defense has been very, very good at stopping the run recently. Other side, Kenneth Walker, doubtful. Apologies for the Zach Charbonnet slander last week. Guy played amazing. Big defensive injuries here are in the Green Bay secondary. Jair Alexander, Javon Bullard. Starting corner, slot corner. Gino has had a lot of problems in these home games. I don't know the reason. The O-line is better now with Abe Lucas there, especially on the outside at tackle. Green Bay doesn't blitz a lot. They probably will play a lot of coverage tonight with their corners out. Can Gino finally do something and beat a defense at home? I don't know. I'm kind of right on market here. There's so many differing positions on this game. I kind of just think that this is what the number needs to be. Can't be a full 3 for Green Bay, but they have to be favored as well. Gino dome versus outside splits. It's kind of what I'm talking about here in a sense, excuse me. Of note for tonight's stream, I'm going to do the full show tonight. Just want to make it abundantly clear. I just moved into a new place and I don't have my satellite set up yet. So I'll be streaming the game through streaming service tonight, DAZN here in Canada. It's going to be a little bit delayed. So you bear with me for the second half. I might get producer Jason on screen a lot more tonight as well. We'll figure it out. Either way, we'll watch the game together. Seahawks, Packers. Hopefully it's a good one. And of course, in the first half tonight, per usual with Clive, we're going to look ahead to week 16, all the early numbers, try to find some early value on those early numbers. We did last week talk through some games that have moved quite a bit, as we usually do every single week. It's not to say we have a 100% hit rate or anything like that, but that's where we're at. Thoughts on Monday games for pools? I played some Minnesota. Kind of still lean that way. I think a lot of what your Atlanta, Las Vegas stuff is kind of done now with the Max Crosby news yesterday. Likelihood that Ritter is going to start. Atlanta caught money, over caught money. That makes a lot of sense to me. Minus 200 trapdoor gets open tonight. Maybe we'll do that. Anytime touchdown scores. Okay. Again, I'm going to wing this here. I'm going to bet every single one of these. It's not a huge props week for me. I don't have a lot going on because of, again, the move and just getting things set up in a timely manner as much as possible. But let's take a look at the Fanduel market right now. Anytime touchdown scores. Okay, Tampa Bay and the Los Angeles Chargers. We are going to start Bucks Chargers, and we're going Rachaad White plus 190. Typically, I like to give things that are a little bit more value, but we talked about this earlier on the stream. I love Bucky Irving, pre-existing injury. I like this price a lot, honestly, just relative to a lot of prices on the board. I mean, there's sportsbooks that have Rachaad White minus 105 anytime touchdown right now. We're going Rachaad White plus 190. Play that probably down to not much further, 175 or so. Oh, Sammy, I like what you're thinking. Chestnut first team TD 40-1. Don't hate that whatsoever. Okay. I'm going to keep going here. Let's go Baltimore and the Giants. And we're going to go with Rashad Bateman. Anytime touchdown. Giants secondary is a complete and utter disaster for today's game. Rashad Bateman plus 290. I know we could definitely get hurt there if the Ravens just want to run out clock late in the game. But at that price, again, relative to rest of market, love that look at plus 290. Where could we find one more? I know I'm just arbitrarily picking three, which I'm not going to lie. I hate just arbitrary numbers and doing it for the sake of doing it, but we're going to find something here. Could we get a long shot? I know this is riveting content, guys. I know you truly appreciate how riveting this content is. Let's go New England, Arizona, Patriots, Cardinals. Kendrick Bourne plus 480. That's going to be our longer shot today. That's going to be our longer shot. That's going to be the 3. Jason, of course, per usual, has put them together in a parlay at roughly 65-1. I know he wants AD Mitchell. He really is really trying for me to get AD Mitchell. I would need a lot more than the 10-1 on AD Mitchell. I mean, never mind. Abort. Let me just run this really quickly. You should put AD Mitchell in there. That's a flabbergasting price. But now that's going to be the one that kills it. That's going to be the one that kills it. Okay, see a lot of stuff in here. I can give actual prices. Jalen Polk, I would need... I mean, Fanduel does have the best price on him at 8-1. I kind of would need like 10-1 to play Polk for a touchdown. Alan Lazard is in here. I honestly, I don't like Lazard at all today. I'm sorry, Bung. You can go. He's cashing a touchdown right now. Like, cut this exact clip in time because Alan Lazard is scoring today. But I think Lazard is just overpriced in every market today. Brenton Strange. Borderline. Strange 430 is borderline. I would need probably like 480. 480. Stone Smart. Same kind of thing. Need like 480. I usually don't bet this market a ton in this market because it's hard to find value. Oh, wow. Bryce Young 50-1 to have most pass yards. Now I'm getting excited. Now the juices are flowing. Hello. All right. I think that's going to be it for me. Appreciate everyone who chimed in on the chat today. Love that, by the way. Love doing the show when the chat is popping. Make sure you're back here tonight for Sunday Night Football. Packers Seahawks. Should be a great game. I got to run. Making a little bit of pasta for lunch today. Big meal. Watch some great games of football. No bye weeks this week. Love that. Love the late slate today. So much going on. Appreciate everyone who tuned in. I'll see you back here tonight. Thank you for watching the Pizza Buffet right here on Forward Progress, presented by FanDuel. Peace out. Good luck with your bets today.